Hey y'all, it is April the 24th, 2020. We're going live here on this Friday night broadcast. It is Friday, right? All right, I'm running late, as you could tell. I got to sleep late. I was doing things. I was doing some things and doing all sort of things. I'll tell y'all about some of them garden things before I went to sleep. Got up late and stuff, been scrambling. I've been fumbling and bumbling around and stuff, man, trying to get my wherewithal. All right. It did not work, all right, but that's why we're late and stuff. Took a long time, all right. All sort of things. I just gotta say we're gonna go ahead and do something of a news blitz or try to look at some screenshots, hear from some comments if people come out and stuff and they got something to contribute. All right, it's very much encouraged. All right, y'all are all dear contributors, except for the ones who do not contribute. All right, and y'all some stalkers and some lurkers, and I appreciate you either way. All right, it really doesn't matter. And just so you know, this here video can easily get banned up off of YouTube. All right, so know that I don't care about that either. All right, I got my other avenues. All right, I can still talk. And regardless, they're going to record every single word that I say on this phone. They're going to put it into a transcript. They're going to send that transcript straight to China to be tucked in somewhere for my detriment sometime in the future. All right. That is what it is. All right. But we got some good news to share today. All sort of good news, actually. A ridiculous amount. All right. Namely, dealing with that COVID, all right, the whole COVID situation. I think you probably heard about it, unless you just woke up like me. If you've been up today and awake, you probably have heard, unless you've been kind of trying to get away from all that. All right, so if you're trying to get away from all that static and friction and all this anxiety and stuff over the COVID, well, the thing is, we're about to dive into a little bit of that. But I do have some good news on it. That much I can assure you. Not exactly sure what's the screenshots that we got to go through, but I bet you they're going to be crucial. I do remember having some crucial ones. So without too much further ado, we're going to dive into it. But also, I got to say, afterwards, we're going to talk about our boy Nikolas on the latter half of this here video. And I just want to put something out there. It's pretty simple, but maybe I'm one of the few that's privy to this sort of information. I want to share it with you, right? And I appreciate you, especially if you're out there and you're a 100% hoaxer. I know sometimes I seem annoyed and stuff, but I appreciate y'all probably the most, all right? And really, that's who I'm talking to right now, because just to give you a tip or a suggestion or a little bit of advice, if you will, if you'll let me. Okay, so we are going to talk about that Nikolas Cruz stuff, and I got some of that nitty gritty, some of that stuff that I've known for over a year, well over a year, all right? And it's just been tucked in my head, and a lot of people out there, they don't get it yet because they just haven't seen what I've seen, all right? And so I'll let you in on it, but you have to wait till the latter half of this here video, because we're going to see if we can get our wherewithal. All right. It says I got 338 screenshots. We're certainly not going to go through them all. But let's see if we could just rapid fire go through a news blitz. Let's see if it's possible. All right. Let's start from the tippy top. All right. In no significant order. For those of y'all getting the visual, we're going to get some visuals real quick. Otherwise, I'll just describe for you what's going on. This is a screenshot I saw on YouTube, and it's from a local Florida news outlet. It says Dolphins fans go nuts about Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa. Damn, dude. Tua Tagovailoa. All right, draft pick. And so it's got this soy boy right here. That's the thing about it. He might be big. He might be like 6'4" or something. He could be. I'm not saying he is, but he could be. Either way, he's a little girl. I'd punch him in the throat if he gave me a reason. But if he didn't, I'm not advocating violence or anything like that. I'm just saying, look at this soy boy's face. And it's not only that that's what his face is, it's just that he went out of his way to post this picture to show his emotion over Tua Tagovailoa, and that's what's the most important thing in his life. And it's disgusting. A little soy boy, all right, doing a soy boy face. It's over the top, all right. It is cartoonish. Anyways, this is a news blitz. Tom Green's toilet paper panic buying theory. I gotta admit, and I'm not being sarcastic, if I want to hear anybody's toilet paper theory, the panic buying toilet paper theory, it would be Tom Green. And I am not being sarcastic. So I haven't heard that one yet, but I took a screenshot of it. I want to hear it later. And also, I wanted to point out Tom Green's internet talk show inspired the podcast. Now, for those people who's millennials, you might not be familiar, really. You might not be too familiar with Tom Green, anyways. Tom Green might be just a tad bit before your time. And he was outrageous. He was doing things. He's like of a jackass type of caliber. All right. And he's one of the originators, straight from Canada. That's the thing. Canada deserves a lot of credit, especially when it comes to innovations like this in comedy and stuff. Tom Green really paved the way. And for those people who know Joe Rogan, one of the biggest podcasts, if not the biggest podcast in the world, and it just goes to show you, it was inspired by Tom Green, who's not so big anymore. In fact, he's never been so big as Joe Rogan. But he's still pretty dang popular. People knew who Tom Green was. And they still do know who he is if you're not a millennial. And it goes to show you, man, like, you can inspire the world's biggest thing, right? Even if you don't become the world's biggest thing, and you might, and you probably will, but even if you don't, you're going to inspire the world's biggest thing just by being you, just by doing you. So apparently Joe Rogan got the idea from being on Tom Green's show, and he said, I'm going to do a podcast. And then it turned into the biggest in the world. Trump continues to put countries' top physicians on the spot. I thought this was an extremely funny screenshot because it is local news. You got to imagine that they are against Trump. They are against America. They are against bravery and courage. They are, you know what I'm saying? They're for the opposite. Local news, typically, no matter where you're at. But same thing goes for South Florida. They say Trump continues to put countries' top physicians on the spot. Little do they know that I actually find that hilarious. I see this lady with her damn scarf, and she's always got some scarves. God bless her. That's her little bit of flair. I don't blame her for wearing the scarves and stuff. You know, it's a nice touch, I guess. But it's annoying knowing the fact is that you're probably BSing us around. And you're kind of trying to shut the damn country down, all right? So I kind of want to put you on the spot. In fact, you should stay under the spotlight. Oh, we got that poor network status. Well, you know, it does happen. Pretty much every broadcast will have it at one point in time. Hold on, let me see if I move and adjust the cell phone. Let's see if we can get that status back. Now, last time, it actually recorded quite well. And nothing ever really buffered last time when it said, you know, poor network status. But I have had different results and stuff, so I don't want to say anything crucial or anything. When it's buffering, it's terrible. But let's just sit here while we got some time and look at this here scarf. It's ridiculous. I don't know why would have such poor network status. You know, everybody could have their theories. Maybe it's Friday night and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's Netflixing and watching pornos, pornography on the dang internet. And it's like, whatever, man. Whatever. It seems like we got our status back. All right. We're going to stop looking at this dang scarf and keep going, pressing through the news blitz. That way we can get to that real nitty gritty, all right, before we get out of here. It is going to be just probably an hour-long broadcast. I'm going to try and fit it into an hour, all right? I hope we do. All right. I appreciate everybody out there. But check this out. I took a screenshot. It says breaking news. 17 dead in Florida school shooting. I just took that screenshot because I wanted to remember this face. Now, wow, dang. You know, the lady to the right actually looks familiar, but I'm sure it's not that lady. Okay. Take a look at that lady's face because I wanted to remember it. That's only for my personal research. Now, you could do the same exact thing And if you wanted to find a mountain of contradictions and people pretty much saying either lies or flat out falsehoods, you would type in Scott Israel, February 14th, 2018. And buddy, you're just going to get a whole series of videos. You don't have to go through me. It's not some secret, like, oh, find it in a secret cave, all this here evidence. No, it's like right there and open. Of so many reasons why not only Scott Israel should have been fired, but he should have been like thoroughly investigated at the very least, right? And I think you'd find reason to put handcuffs on his wrists and take him to jail. But we never really got into that nitty gritty. They only just fired him. And meanwhile, he's making an ass out of himself. On a side note, over there in Broward County, they're actually having a power struggle over the sheriff's office right now with Mr. Gregory Tony. He's the sheriff. That is a side note. It's not really relevant for right now, but it is kind of interesting. All right, I wanted to see this. Authorities also evacuated the school. Police told CBS 12 a teacher thought that she heard gunshots and she texted someone who alerted authorities. It's weird. I took a screenshot of that because apparently, and I don't know how significant it is. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I had noticed in doing some more research, and just kind of skimming through all the different little tidbits, I had noticed that there was actually a complaint the day after Parkland. That would be February 15th, 2018. And this thing that happened the next day, it led to all schools in the district being put on a precautionary lockdown. I don't remember if you heard of this. According to Broward Schools and Coconut Grove Police, right? Authorities also evacuated the school. Police told CBS 12 a teacher thought that she heard gunshots and she texted someone who alerted authorities. The initial report came in at about 9:36 a.m. Oh, I'm getting messages. I'm so popular. All right, the initial report, which came in at 9:36 a.m., was unfounded. So that wasn't real and whatever, but I don't know if senses were on high. I don't know whatever. She's just extra paranoid because of the shooting or whatever, why she thought she heard gunshots in the distance, or if that's just another part of like some drill. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. You know what else is interesting? There's so much details that it's very hard to know what all everybody knows. So I think as far as Parkland goes or anything else, it's imperative that we share all our information. Whether or not it be significant, maybe it is. Here's something I thought was kind of significant. As far as those who know about Parkland, if I say Alexa Midnick, spelled Miednik, if I say Alexa Midnick, oh, actually, you're looking at the last name right now. That's how you spell it. You know who the hell I'm talking about, right? Because she went super viral. I don't have to explain that to you. Now, for someone who doesn't know Alexa Midnick, you might as well go to sleep and don't ever think about this Nikolas Cruz Parkland thing ever again, because everybody knows about Alexa Midnick, right? But the thing is, she totally disappeared off the earth, and a lot of people find that just unsettling, right? I do as well, and I've done all sort of research, and I've seen all sort of people who's done their own research. And it's very unsettling. It's very, very unsettling that Alexa Midnick would just disappear. A girl like that, someone who purportedly lived on Twitter, that kind, the millennials. Alexa Midnick, or I don't know, Generation Z or whatever, she lived on Twitter, but now she's totally disappeared off the face of the earth, right? She was in softball too, and she's of notable, like, she was on the internet as far as school functions and stuff, playing softball, this and that totally dropped off. Everything dropped off. Her presence on the internet at all dropped off completely ever since this thing. And meanwhile, that's one of the main points that I had to drive home, is that nobody in the whole Parkland situation was ever sensational. I mean, to include and especially Davey Hogg, Emma Gonzalez, all these people were just subpar and not interesting. That's why nobody talks about them no more. However, Alexa Midnick quite obviously was over the top interesting, but nobody ever talked about it except for everybody on the internet. All right. Anyways, this is a new split, so I just want to say, if for the people who don't know, Alexa Midnick actually has three older brothers, I believe. One of the older brothers, at least, is a professional baseball player. We're looking at it right now, Jake Midnick, and he actually plays, if I'm not mistaken, as soon as they start playing again, he actually plays for the Cleveland Indians. All right. And so there's so many different people, man. Like you could talk to Jake Midnick and be like, "Hey, where's not no offense, but where's his sister at, dude? How's she doing? Is she doing all right? Can we crowdfund or something for this girl? Is she doing all right? Because she disappeared from the internet." All right. You could holler at him. You could holler at Andrew Pollock. You know, the father of Meadow Pollock, who happened to be besties with our girl Alexa Midnick. All right. And so that's another interesting thing. I mean, quite interesting, I think. Anyways, is another interesting thing. I guess the most interesting aspect of it is, okay, Alexa Midnick, her brother is a baseball player and stuff. Her brother is definitely on Twitter and stuff like that. So I don't know if he would ignore you, but of course somebody could try and slide a DM or whatever. All right, but at the same time, I don't know, you might even get sent to jail for trying to talk to Jake Midnick. I couldn't say. I really couldn't tell you. That's why I'm not going to attempt to talk to him. I bet you he wouldn't respond to me anyways. But someone should ask him, like, hey, where's your sister at? Is she doing all right? We would like to know. But this is a picture of Brett Israel's Twitter. Who's Brett Israel? For those who know, that would be one of Scotty Israel's children, right? One of his triplets, that'd be Brett Israel. And he actually got suspended from Twitter. And I thought it was funny because he got suspended from Twitter because he violated Twitter rules. I'm not sure what exactly rules he broke, but he is deleted from Twitter. Now, the reason I found Brett Israel on Twitter is because I was studying Jake Midnick's Twitter. Like I said, just type in Jake Midnick, you'll find Alexa's brother. It's been well known for a long time, but I thought I'd bring it up. And if you go a long way back to January 23rd, 2012, you find a pretty random picture that I heard about before I seen it. Other people seen it and they talked about it, and I seen it now. Way back in 2012, it's a picture of Scotty Israel. Isn't that ironic? Don't you think? It's a little too ironic, but Jake Midnick. All right, so I'm gonna just lay out the connections. Jake Midnick is the older brother of Alexa Midnick. All right, the lady who's the most controversial person in all of Parkland, bar none, the most sensational, Alexa. All right, Jake Midnick is her older brother. He's hollering at Brett Israel way back in 2012, which would lead you to believe that they probably went to the same schools and knew each other. All right, so he's hollering at Brett Israel. The reason he took a picture is not because he's overly political. He's a young man, probably. He probably doesn't care anything about politics. And the reason why he took this picture, put it on Twitter, is because that's Brett Israel's father. He might have found it funny to take that picture and send it to Brett Israel over Twitter. I see there's someone in the building, and I appreciate you, all right? We already kind of dived headlong into things, but just to talk a little bit about Parkland right now, as we go through a news blitz, we're going to talk about Nikolas and the voices in the latter half of this here video, all right? So stay tuned. But we got Jake Midnick. He's the older brother, if you didn't catch it, of Alexa Midnick. All right, the most sensational person in all of Parkland history. All right, and you can find him on Twitter, and he's a professional baseball player for the Cleveland Indians. All right, and so he's on Twitter way back in 2012, hollering at Brett Israel, who happens to be the son, probably a pretty controversial son, in of his behavior. He did get banned off Twitter, but he's hollering because of his father, Scott Israel. There's a very close connection. That's a very, very close connection. Right? Isn't it? Okay. Alexa Midnick, bestie friends forever with Meadow Pollock. That's pretty close connection. I mean, these people are so damn closely connected. And a lot of people find that suspicious, and they say it's 100% hoax and everybody's working together. I doubt it, but there's so many reasons why. There's so many reasons why that I could never like tell you all at once all the different things that I've seen that would point to actual bloodshed going down. All right. I know that might be controversial, but we're gonna get into it for sure before we get out of this here broadcast. Close connections. That's one. It's just very significant. And I guess I took some screenshots. I wanted to point out that that's a Jake Midnick on the left. He's kind of a Mac, dude. Like, he became a professional baseball player, for what it's worth. I don't promote, oh God, dude. I'm going to get like 12, 15 messages during this broadcast. People wait till the very late evening to give me messages. But okay, Jake Minnick, he was kind of a baller and a Mac and stuff. He's one of those, who never had trouble getting the attention of the ladies. A little bit blurry, but a happy birthday B and stuff. And I just took pictures of it. I found it interesting. There's Jake with Scottie Pippen. All right, so that's pretty baller. Like, he's out there living a baller life. And I mean, in Florida, who would put it past him? That was actually just different random things like that. This is a screenshot, so I can't click it. But actually, I think I have a better picture. There you go. I'm not trying to dox anybody. This is like just public pictures on Twitter, right? And so that's Alexa's mom. So as you could tell, Alexa is going to age very well, probably. And I just thought that was interesting. Come from a very handsome family, I gotta say. Anyways, that's Jack Midnick, love guy, professional baseball player, Cleveland Indians. You can find him on Twitter. That's Alexa's brother, big brother. Let's see. Let's just race through some of these last screenshots and then get in the nitty gritty. I swear, oh my God, they're talking about carne asada and all sort of stuff up in the messages. It's killing me. All right, the Parkland chart. When I talked about this event on my show on Friday, I said that this was going to be a pivot event for gun control. And while I did not reference Dunblane, that's ridiculous, Dunblane massacre in Scotland, it was an event that kicked in stricter, tighter gun control. 17 students and faculty died in Dunblane, and it was 17 in Parkland. I took a picture of this because I found it kind of interesting. Now you can, I guess, research this. I'm not familiar with the Dunblane massacre in Scotland, but I'm sure a lot of people are. And he was talking about this, and this guy, hopefully I have like his name in the next screenshot or something. But he was reading an article, and it was way back. It might have been like a couple days after the Parkland incident. And he wrote down all sort of information to include astrology and stuff. He was talking about planets and crazy stuff. He was talking about all sort of stuff that is just wild about Parkland at the same time. And it's nice how people can mush it all together. And they do so in a logical, very articulate way. I might not agree with what they're saying, but they do have logic to what they're saying. And I thought it was very interesting. The most interesting thing about this screenshot is who's talking about the Dunblane massacre of Scotland, right? Could all be purely coincidence, even though I personally don't believe in those sort of coincidences. But it's possible. All right. But it's interesting, the Dunblane massacre, and then you, according to this guy, if you take Parkland, and note that they both have 17 people who died, all right, just coincidentally, and they happen to be 8,008 days. I know people all in that numerology, already sirens and lights and bells and whistles are going off. 8,008 days apart, and then it was also 1,144 weeks between the two events. Wow. Oh man. And that's something else, right? The food is always so tasty and fresh. I have never received a meal that I didn't love, and it always comes out exactly how I requested, said Junior Alexa Minnick. Now, I thought that was funny. That was talking about some sort of Greek restaurant or something, and it was someone doing a food. They were writing a food report, and they happened to interview like 3 students, and I forget what was the date on it. But it's on Eagle Eye News, just a little local paper and stuff. And they having to interview Alexa Minnick, probably because she's a sensational person. And they just, so she's definitely a real person. I know I seen a long time ago those Facebooks and stuff. They might be very confusing, the this and that. There's going to be a lot of misleading information. A lot of it probably fabricated by trolls. Some of it is inexplicable, like on the surface, but there's probably a reasonable explanation. Some people would think Alexa Midnick is much older than she was purported, and she in fact is an actress. Actually, there's so much evidence that purports that she was actually a senior during the day of the shooting. There's a lot of evidence towards it. Woman charged in a brutal bat attack was released during COVID-19 pandemic. All right, for those of y'all get the visual, there you go. Hey, that's San Antonio, Texas. All right, that's local news, I believe, right? Barrett County. All right, yeah, she brutally beat someone with a bat. Whatever. I mean, we don't want her to catch COVID. Yeah, she got dyed blue hair. Of course, she's all strung out on drugs. Look at her face. All right, beating people with bats. But let her out of jail for the safety of the community. Meanwhile, she just totally dips, and now she's a fugitive. I hope she doesn't have access to a bat, dude, y'all. I mean, but that's just an example of what a lot of people wouldn't like to admit, because they're like, oh yeah, they release prisoners for our safety and stuff. They don't want them to get sick and stuff. And they're all non-violent. They all got caught with possession of marijuana or something like that. And none of them are rapists and murderers and robbers and beat you with a bat. None of them do that. Renowned microbiologist claims Wuhan lab did absolutely crazy things. All right, and you can ignore all sort of stuff. I know the people who come out to my channel, they ain't ignoring nothing, right? And they probably already heard of this. Absolutely crazy things. Believe it or not, these people are doing absolutely crazy things, all right? They ain't to be trusted, according to renowned microbiologists. And I heard all sort of news that's crazy today from all sort of renowned people talking about all sort of good news. All right, and we're going to touch upon that before we get into the Nikolas Cruz real nitty-gritty and stuff. Some people probably already know about it, but I want to discuss that real nitty-gritty. But we got a few more screenshots probably. Shout out to the people up in the building. Like I said, I encourage whatever's on your mind and stuff. You have something, just even one thing, be like, oh man, he really needs to talk about this because I don't know if he knows. And then you type it in. If you get a chance, safety first. Like I always say, all right? And for the lurkers out there, I appreciate you. But here's a screenshot, HBO series. It's just like, I'm not showing you anything new. It's not like, it's just, it's disgusting, all right? HBO, and this is hate speech, but I love everybody. I love these people who you're looking at. HBO series features drag queen hosting drag shows as an olive branch to small town America. You are beyond ridiculous, all right? Small town America ain't gonna accept it ever, ever, ever. Just understand, we go to like small town America. We'll go to the store and say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, and no, ma'am, and stuff. We don't know what the hell to say to you, right? I mean, small town America will just as soon pass you up, go into a different line if you're the cashier or something, just so that they don't. It's like, what do we say to you, right? It's disgusting. What is this? I mean, come on, dude. I mean, how do you explain that? Oh yeah, that's a pretty lady. Oh man, that's a pretty lady. Anyways, racist text will stop Atlanta mayor. Will not stop Atlanta mayor from speaking up for residents. I mean, I'm just disgusted. It's hard to even talk about this. It's not important. This lady trying to look like that Kardashian mom and stuff, man, with the heavy tan. Racist text will not stop. It's like, dude, the mayor has to go up. That's how weak your mayor is. And the thing is, yes, she's a lady. That's already strike one. And even the ladies out there know what I'm talking about. But if you're going to be a lady, be a strong lady. Don't be a weak little victim. Oh, now you want to jump up, be a little weak victim talking about, oh, you got a racist text. Oh, poor you. Oh, man, you got it so tough. You got a racist text on your phone. Oh, man. Gosh, you're a real victim. You're the true victim of all this. Speaking up for residents. By speaking up for residents, do you mean attempting to lock them down? I don't know what's going on in Atlanta right now. But you're going to claim victimhood on CNN.com, all right? Good for you. Jimmy Kimmel's quarantine monologue. God, I don't know how much more we can go through these, you guys. I wanted to get through some, but dude, Jimmy Kimmel's quarantine monologue. Jimmy's daughter does his makeup. All right, some of y'all don't get it out there. All right, some of y'all don't get exactly what they want to make out of every man who you ever respected in your life. Put lipstick on him and little bunny ears or some stuff, a little bow on his hair. That's exactly what he deserves. And he doesn't even understand how freaking ridiculous he looks. All right, how much he's not even talented. You take away the crowd, and he's just some random guy who thinks he's funny, and he's not. He doesn't have no talent. All right, I mean, I'm not just bashing on anybody. Adam Carolla went ahead and made his own podcast, and it got very popular. This guy has nothing right here. A little freaking girl, and this little girl wants to tell you that this man right here who's handling business. All right, that's a man's face. Oh, that he doesn't know what to do for America. We need to all turn transgender and stop working. Says this guy. I mean, man, I could go the whole broadcast and just talk about this thing screenshot, right? Just a matter of time before people start snapping. Inmate says spoiled food served at Bear County. Here, we're gonna stop going through so many screenshots. Let's see, what time do we have? What time is it? 9:03. Okay, good. That's probably a good time. We're gonna wind it down on these here screenshots, but it's another example of might be happening in your area. It's definitely happening in San Antonio. Here's what I gotta say: the mayor is against the people in San Antonio, and the people don't even know it because they're so politically ignorant. But they're gonna find out. Sure, shooting. They're gonna eventually find out because the mayor absolutely is going to want to lock us down for as long as he possibly can and act like a scared girl the whole time. Meanwhile, we're getting bundles and bundles of good news talking about that maybe we should open the economy, right? But the mayor's not going to want to hear that because the mayor, first of all, he doesn't have a mind of his own. He takes orders. Whatever his orders are, and they're not from the people, he's going to carry out. And basically, he's going to want to shut down the economy of San Antonio as long as he can by fear-mongering. And a lot of people are working in collusion with him, whether or not they know it. I don't care what's their intent. They're all carrying out this goal of shutting down America and shutting down San Antonio specifically and running roughshod all over it. Right? So the mayor does not want to open up, and you're going to see that over the course of the next couple of weeks, that he's against you and he wants you in poverty. And also the jail's kind of colluding, and in that they're releasing all sort of prisoners who might beat you down with baseball bats. And I'm not saying that for no reason. And so this is just propaganda that's coming from the local newspaper, it's the local news outlet, KSAT.com. And they're in collusion with San Antonio Express, with the Rivard Report, and the list goes on and on, the San Antonio Current probably. They're in collusion because they want to have you believe it's all sort of chaos and everybody's lives at risk over in the jail, so we need to release everybody. And what that means is all sort of prisoners all around you. Meanwhile, we're having a lockdown right now in which nobody can hardly get jobs. So what are these criminals going to do? They're going to rob you and rape you and beat you down with baseball bats. All right? And that is the point. They might want to say, oh, no, it's for everyone's safety. Yeah, I'm sure of it. Now you got this propaganda where it's talking about, oh, these poor prisoners, they might catch COVID. We got to let them out. They're about to start snapping. Says a former damn prisoner. It's like, I mean, you served your time. I'm not trying to harp on you and everything. I'm just saying this is propaganda. City confirms 4 additional deaths. While it's like, dude, people are dying. People have been dying since the beginning of the world. So we have 4 additional deaths in San Antonio. And without going into their videos, this poor little boy right here is going to cry about it. And look, every death is a tragedy. And I know everybody who dies, probably people love him and miss him, right? I understand that. This is a scared little boy. And everybody on city council means to, this guy right here, all of them, they mean to shut down San Antonio. You say, how would that benefit them? Oh, it would benefit them. Trust me, it's going to benefit the crap out of them. The orders that they carry out, they're getting it from on high, right? People in very high places doing very economically disastrous things to San Antonio and everywhere else, right? So, oh man, I'm so scared. 4 additional deaths. Oh man, I'm so scared. I'm so scared of it. Meanwhile, let's just shut down for half a year, maybe a whole year. Forever? Can we shut down forever? I mean, just traitorous. Dr. Rockman set up pop up in neighborhood to bring cheer during Corona. Now, I don't have to give you no more examples because you already seen them yourself. I know. You've seen the TikTok videos, you've seen the nurses with the big booties and all this just carrying on, doing haka dances, doing all sort of things, doing tap dances and stuff. They got all sort of time on their hands. God bless them. I don't know why they want to be Shirley Temple and stuff and just I don't know why they want to entertain us, but now you got a doctor band. A doctor band? Y'all really have that much time on your hands. And for the people out there who's totally ignorant to reality, everybody else who's in tune with reality knows that we don't have an influx of, we're not overwhelmed in hospitals across America. In fact, it's the complete opposite. I mean, people are bored as hell or they're being furloughed. It's the opposite. The hospitals are empty. Doctors are creating rock bands to cheer everybody up. They're doing TikTok videos and stuff. I mean, wow. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I heard all sort of stories, and you can only imagine the carrying on that nurses and doctors do when they got all sort of time on their hands. I've heard plenty of them carrying on. I mean, just shocking stuff, all right? And there's more that we could say about COVID. And just okay, we'll stop the screenshots. We'll stop it on this. I thought I totally understood gender and sexuality. Then my son asked for pink shoes, and now we're all transgender. All right, basically. Anyways, to go back to the COVID thing. Oh, man, stuff's rolling around. What the hell? It's getting all windy. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Okay, it just got all windy outside, started blowing things around. I had to move something, and I got it alleviated. Okay, anyways, about the COVID, what was I gonna say? Okay, I've heard from a lot of people. You probably heard from those doctors today. It went super viral, all right? And they were talking about all this is messed up. What we're doing is messed up. Locking down the economy is going to lead to all sort of disaster. The kind of disasters that we've been discussing since day one, all right? Obviously, we're going to have depression. There's going to be a suicidal tendencies will grow, and domestic abuse will grow. All sort of things, all sort of bad things are going to happen, to include people who are actually sick with other things are going to be afraid to go to the hospital, right? And they're actually going to suffer, and some of them are going to die because of that. I mean, so that's pointed out by plenty of people at this point, and it would prove that it was going to be all sort of death and carnage and destruction that would go on further the further we lock down, right? But at the same time, as those doctors discussed, just real briefly, before we get into the Nikolas stuff, they say, you know, what we need to do is get off this lockdown immediately because it's bad for our immune systems. We need to go outside, get some damn fresh air. We need to all go to the beach. And, but we need to like open stuff up slowly. We still need to be cautious because chances are, because our immune systems are so weakened, not everybody's, like not mine really, but most people have been shutting themselves up in the house and disinfecting everything, which is causing their immune systems to become weak as hell. And so when they get out into the public, they're going to be easily sickened by whatever this and that virus because their immune systems are very low. So a lot of people are going to become sick when we open up the economy. They're going to have to deal with it. Meanwhile, they could be proactive and get supplements and build their immune system and slowly get back into society. Go outside, play at the park a little bit before you start going into crowds. I mean, ease into it. Safety first, as I always say, right? But at the same time, we're fixing to die and break ourselves off. And all sort of surveillance, police state is forming itself around us during this whole lockdown. By design, 5G and everything is going up and stuff. They don't want us to rally against it or protest against it, right? It's a lot of different facets to that COVID, but let's just say we have more than enough evidence to tell them to go to hell with their orders, and we know what to do because we're Americans and we have some damn sense, all right? And so the lockdown is over, basically. That's the good news I got to share with you. The lockdown in your head should definitely be over. I know a lot of people never lock themselves down to begin with. masks are stupid. It is a satanic ritual, and this and that. There's all sort of things that we could discuss as far as the different embarrassing things that they try to attempt to make us do as a society to break ourselves up, to bend our own selves over a barrel, right? Meanwhile, it didn't work on some of us. All right, so as we run out of time, okay, we got about 20 minutes. Let's dive into that Nikolas Cruz stuff in the Parkland. Okay, the reason I bring it up is because it's intertwined and it has everything to do with everything, especially this COVID stuff. The COVID stuff's all the same. It's like a mirror image. And just real briefly, although I can get banned off of YouTube at any point, I don't really care. I just want to say is, okay, in the COVID thing, people are really dying. Okay, some people. That's not to say a lot of people, but people were really dying, and it also was made in a laboratory, man-made, right? Weapon. It was a bioweapon, right? And a lot of people wouldn't want to accept it. Go ahead and don't accept it. Does not matter. But people living in reality understand that it didn't come from no stupid wet market. Y'all are BSing. And okay, that's a problem. And it did kill people. There's people out there who's very much willing to kill people. I'm not saying Bill Gates. I'm just saying there's people out there who are very much willing to kill people to get their agenda across. That's something that I got to press upon as far as Parkland being one situation. There could be a lot of situations out there. It's totally fake. Could be. All right, but as far as Parkland, I've seen a lot. I've seen so much that's hard to express everything to everybody all the time when they say, oh, nobody got hurt, nobody got killed at Parkland. The reason why it's like I don't care what anybody thinks out there. It's just it's not a strong argument, and that you're missing a lot of details if you say take a broad view of this particular situation. Yeah, if you take a broad view of Parkland, of course it looks way more fake than real, right? And if you think that I'm ever denying that, I've said quite clearly that I'm not. Right, but it's when you take a deeper dive into it, you see all sort of little tidbits that it would not serve to prove, or like it would not serve an agenda. It would not serve their agenda well, right? And it's very contradictory. And meanwhile, it shows you an even more sinister look as to what went on. Like I said, lives were lost at Parkland. Who did? I don't know. Who lost lives? I don't know. Who took their lives? I don't know. But we don't have no sort of evidence to say that it was Nikolas Cruz, and we never did, right? And certainly we're going to go over all that. We've gone over it before. We'll do it again. But I wanted to take a specific look at this because I think it's going to, prove to some people have already seen it, but let's re-look at it or introduce it to some people for the first time. It's another little tidbit that'll prove to you straight away that something very bad is happening here. All right. Mind you, okay, this is a transcript. It's very famous. A lot of people, the people who really dove into this, obviously they've seen this transcript, but I'm willing to bet that less than 1% of the populace of America has ever laid eyes on this transcript. And it's of the interrogation of Nikolas Cruz by this detective John Curcio. All right, he was the guy who interrogated him, after the fact. And it's a whole big long thing. It's like 217 pages. Trust me, they said a lot. And a lot of it's like redacted. Like we're on page 79 right here, right? So we're not going to read what's before it, but dude, I mean, it's so much information. It's pages and pages. Like I said, 217 pages. It's a very good read, though. Like, you read pages real fast. So, it's not like reading a whole novel. Like, it's not even going to take that long. I read it, and it might have took me over the course of 2 days just because I'm not a strong and fast reader. I take it in very slowly. So, over the course of 2 days, I read it real easily. And look at all this information, man. All right, so what I got to stress is, having gone through the whole thing, is that there's so many things. If you were to think about the agenda, like, for example, if this was all a hoax, 100%, and I've heard people allude to this, like 100% means that Nikolas Cruz ain't even in jail. That Nikolas Cruz is some sort of actor. That's what 100% means. Because if Nikolas Cruz is in jail and he's really being about to be charged with all this, then that makes it a 99% hoax, at least. That makes some element of this to be real. And so, therefore, if Nikolas Cruz is truly in jail, which I believe he is, wouldn't that be an injustice? There ain't no evidence that incriminates him. In fact, the exact opposite. And that's on face value. As you could tell, that it's absolutely absurd to think that Nikolas Cruz did all this. All right, but just to take a quick look at the transcript, a lot of words. There's going to be so much details that'll let you know, and all you had to do is type in Nikolas Cruz interrogation transcript. And I also wanted to show you, for those who haven't seen it, you see all this information, right? It's basically all this information you're looking at is a coerced confession, right? If you've ever heard of it, go ahead and look it up. It's a method that interrogators do to get you to admit to something that you didn't do. That way it puts you in jail. All right. And meanwhile, I want to point out, because it's not a time to read this, but I think you'll find it a good read if you check it out. I wanted to point out that it's so very clear in this interview that Nikolas Cruz is a young man. And dare I say, he's in no way to answer any questions at all until an attorney is present. And meanwhile, during this whole entire investigation, although Detective Curcio brings it up, he says, you have the right to have an attorney before I ask you all these questions. Meanwhile, he knows very well that his subject is scared out of his mind, and also a young man doesn't really understand his rights necessarily. I mean, he's very confused, and he's shocked out of his mind, right? And so you get, without an attorney present, this young man, you get him to go ahead and it's a coerced confession, right? And then you'll know, look at this, look at all the black bars. Okay, if you were reading carefully throughout this thing, once they started getting all the black bars, you'll note that that's where actual details of what went on that day, on February 14, 2018. Most of that is these black bars. All right, so all the evidence that would point directly to absolute contradictions and on his face, open and shut, kind of like mistrial, we don't know what the hell we're doing here. All those details would be behind these black bars, conveniently, right? Yeah, I had no idea what they're going to say under there, right? And so many, it's like pages and pages and pages and pages. Oh, that's redacted. That's for national security, right? You ain't supposed to know that. We want you to know everything else, but we're just going to totally black out these pictures, black out all these words, all these pages, all blacked out. I mean, it's almost ridiculous, right? It's like a clown with those handkerchiefs coming out of his pocket with redacted words. It just keeps going on and on and on. But here's the thing. We're trying to get back to page 79, right? Because I'm going to ease you into something that you may or may not have seen before, and it's actually crucial. And it's something that I alluded to on the last broadcast, all right? So we go to page 79. And there's a couple things, all right? And a lot of people already know about this, but just to remind everybody, let's start it right here. Detective Curcio, now they're all up in the interrogation. They're way up in it. They're on page 79. He says, okay, what was embarrassing about the fight? Now, this was a fight that took place, and it was videotaped. And it was put on the news after this whole Parkland situation. And it was basically meant to show, hey, look, Nikolas Cruz, he's out of control. He's fighting people at school, and he's just out of control and stuff. Look at him. He's a killer. Basically, is what they were saying. And meanwhile, none of it was impressive. You could see that Nikolas Cruz really couldn't fight anyways. It was kind of a preposterous video, right? But they talk about this fight on the news. They gave so many motives, and none of them ever added up at all, not even for 1 second. They gave so many motives to why Nikolas Cruz would have done what he did, and none of it made any damn sense. And one of them was like, oh, he fought this one guy, and I forget what was that dude's name. It was something like Enia or something. And that guy showed up on the news, this guy named Enia, and he was like, yeah, I fought Nikolas Cruz and this stuff, and I was dating his girlfriend, and he got mad at me and stuff, and we fought each other, and that all took place. I'm not going to show you those videos. You can find them somewhere. Some guy named Enia. Anyways, just to give you some context, he says, what was embarrassing about that fight? He said, what were you guys fighting over? Nicholas Cruz says, girl. Detective Curcio says, girl? I mean, the answer is always girl, isn't it? Right? So, Detective Curcio says, girl? What was embarrassing about it? I mean, did Ian get the better of you? What was embarrassing or just okay? So that was kind of interesting right there. I don't know if they totally like change people's names in official transcripts. Maybe that's the practice they do that I'm unaware of. But the boy who's referred to as fighting Nicholas Cruz, somewhere in this here thing, he identifies the boy as being named Ian Shingle. That was the boy that he fought, Ian Shingle. Now, after the fact, some other boy named Enia, and I forget what his last name, but it certainly wasn't Shingle, comes on and says, yeah, I was the guy fighting Nikolas Cruz. It's like, what, do you have split personalities? Because they were saying it was a completely different guy. Do you remember correctly? I wonder, was this information vetted before the stream about the TV and said, oh, this is the boy? No. It says the boy's name was Ian Shingle, not Enia, whatever his name was, all right? Okay, so he says, what was embarrassing or, wait, what the hell? Okay, Detective Curcio says, girl, what was embarrassing about it? He says, I mean, did Ian get the better of you? Was that what was embarrassing or you just, and Nikolas Cruz said, yes. He in fact lost the fight. Detective Curcio says, he got the better of you? Okay, now you said you didn't have a lot of friends when you were at school. Who was the girl? What was her name? And then at this point, Nikolas Cruz says Emily. See, I don't get it, dude, and I need somebody to draw me a picture and really tell me what the hell's going on, because when it comes to say Nikolas Cruz's supposed confession or whatever is a manifesto video in the bushes, he refers to the love of his life as Angie, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there is an Angela somewhere around, but she had nothing to do with this incident. All right, he says the love of his life, Angie. Meanwhile, I don't know if I'm just plumb bob retarded, but he's calling this girl Emily. So maybe I'm just stupid. Like, am I the stupid person here? All right, but none of this makes no damn sense. I'll take comments, if anybody thinks that I'm really, really stupid. I would like to know, because I got a feeling I am stupid. He's saying Emily. I don't know. I don't know how to read. Detective Curcio says Emily? He doesn't know how to read either. He says, was she his girlfriend? Your girlfriend? And Nikolas Cruz says, my girlfriend. So names aren't matching here. Makes you wonder why. Anyways, Detective Curcio says, your girlfriend? So what were you guys fighting over? And Nikolas Cruz said, talking. And he's good on one word answers, but Detective Curcio said that he was talking to your girlfriend? Okay, all right. So you go back to school. What ends up happening? Says you just stopped going to school out there, or they see, because a lot of people were talking about it, why he stopped going to school. This was kind of like debated over. Says you just stopped going to school out there, or you got into more problems where he doesn't know how to finish sentences. All right, but Nikolas Cruz says got into more problems. Detective Curcio says, what was the more problem? What was the more problems, Nicholas? And Nikolas Cruz says, failing class. And Detective Curcio says, okay. Nikolas Cruz says, not going to school. These are very typical problems, right, for people out there. Detective Curcio says, okay. And this was all while your mom was still alive? And mind you, his mom had died, the previous fall or something like that. And Nikolas Cruz said, yeah. Detective Curcio says, okay, did there come a point in time where you just stopped going there or they expelled you? Nikolas Cruz said, I just stopped going and then they transferred me. See, nothing. And they gave you all sort of reasons why Nikolas Cruz would do this. One of their many various reasons was he was upset because he got expelled from school, which actually never took place. You could say Nikolas Cruz is a liar, but the thing is, if Nikolas Cruz was an actor, what he's saying right now is absolutely just devastating to the official agenda. Devastating on its face, if you know how to read. They put it right in your face in black and white. And so, you know what I'm saying? He said he just stopped going. Right? Why would that mean that he has some sort of beef with the school? He never did. Detective Curcio said they transferred you. Nikolas Cruz nods his head. It has nothing to do with the agenda. All right? It actually flies in the face of the agenda. Detective Curcio says when they transferred you, was that upsetting to you? And he said, yeah. I don't know what that means, but Detective Curcio says, okay, when you got transferred, were you still going out with Emily? And then Nikolas Cruz says, I stopped talking to her. Detective Curcio says, you stopped talking to her after the fight or when you started having these bad grades? And then Nikolas Cruz says that he was having bad grades. He wasn't really concentrating on school. He kind of had a lot going. As far as his mom just dying and this and that, he kind of had a lot to deal with. He was kind of letting school go on the back burner, and he wasn't very concerned with it, to be honest. I don't know if you could blame him or say that's very typical. Now, we haven't yet got into the real meat and potatoes. All right, you might be wondering, well, where is this going? There's actually something that's coming up real quick that is damn crucial. Anyways, Detective Kurskio says, so other than the gun being cool, man, I don't know if they even said words from that. See, like, they blacked out all this. So you don't know what's the lead up. You don't know what they're saying because they blacked it out. That's for your own security. Detective Curcio then says, so other than the gun being cool, why did you need a gun like that? Just because you wanted it? Let's think about this. Of course, they said that he bought the gun with the intention, he bought these guns knowing full well that he was eventually going to go on a murder spree. That was yet another little mantra that was put out by the mainstream media. Okay, very much just lacking responsibility. Very irresponsible what they did. You could say criminal, in fact. But Detective Curcio says, "Oh, what was the gun cool? Is that the only reason why you got the gun?" And that's typically why a young man would buy a gun. That's one of the reasons. It looks cool. He feels cool. Right? He goes to the gun range, feels cool. You might call him a criminal. But no, Nikolas Cruz says to feel safe. This is a supposed murder spree person who had a death wish. And he's telling you not only that he got a gun because it's kind of cool, but also to feel safe. You understand that he don't even have parents. He lives in South Florida. That's a wild place. All right, bad things happen on the regular in South Florida. And he wants a gun, and all the evidence points behind him being a Second Amendment person for some reason, and being Republican, voting Donald Trump, voting Ron DeSantis. All right, you might find that fishy. I just like to point out that has nothing to do with the agenda. Or maybe you could say, oh, they're trying to incriminate Donald Trump. None of that ever stuck anyways, all right? So it's a piss poor attempt at that. We got Rabbi Brenda up in the building. I appreciate it. All right, how much more time do we got? Man, we're running out of time. We got to wind this down, but we are going to get to the nitty gritty before we get out of here. So in this bonus time, let me show you what I really brought you here for. It says he got the gun to feel safe. Detective Curcio says to feel safe. Okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit, all right? Redact. Okay, you go to the hospital where the doctors cleared you, and you're talking about demons. See, we're going to the nitty-gritty right here. Oh, we got Angela Tate up in the building. Shout out to Angela Tate. Actually, there's a video that I did regarding one of your comments, and it was a wonderful comment. It was very long and articulate, and I did a whole video. I was going to upload. I recorded it like yesterday or the day before, and I still haven't uploaded it, but I want to, just because Angela goes into the real nitty gritty, man, and she puts out a lot of points, and I appreciate the crap out of it. We don't exactly agree on it much. She's out here trying to say it's the 100% hoax, and I respect her on that. But I'm about to show you something that's just one in a mountain of things that shows you that the 100% hoax thing doesn't add up either. But check this out. It says, and you're talking about demons. What are the demons? Nikolas Cruz says, the voices. The voices. Detective Curcio says, tell me about them. What are the voices about? Nikolas Cruz says, it's one. It's another voice. The evil side. He's saying it's not his voice. It's some other voice. It's only one. Detective Curcio says, okay, how long was this voice going on? And like I said before, when I say things, it's because I've seen a reason to bring it up. And so he says, for years. Detective Curcio says, all right, when did it start, you think? When your mom passed? He said it started getting worse when my mom passed. Okay, so I don't know. Of course, organically, I guess demons might start popping up in his head if that's what you would think. Organically, they could start popping up more when his mom dies. However, I'll point out the opportunistic nature of the fact is his mom just died, so now it would be more easier for you to pump voices into his head. Oh, I know it's wild, but you certainly have had the technology to do it for quite some time, perhaps decades. Nikolas Cruz said it started getting worse when my mom passed. Detective Curcio says, okay, did it start, how many years before your mom passed do you think? And just like I told you last time, I didn't say for no reason, when my father died. So this might sound completely over the top, but imagine you're getting paid. You're like a mercenary, whatever. You might be in law enforcement. You might have some time on your hands. You might be former military. Someone approaches you. They say, hey, look, we're going to do some things to you. Either that or you're going to get paid. What are you going to do? You're going to do our work? And so they say, well, we want you to develop, say, wind-up toys. And what you're going to do is every day, as much as you can, at the same time, and trust me, in this transcript, it describes how exactly it's like a routine thing. You find this person, you shoot a ray gun of voices at their head, you keep driving home certain mantras. You keep doing this because eventually, I don't care if it's years from now, we want somebody to go off, and we want to be able to control that, and we want to be able to work around that and push our agenda. I don't care if it takes years and years. I want you to get them early. That way, you thoroughly break their brain, and you get them thinking all sort of crazy ways. He said, when my father died, right? Detective Curcio says, okay, did you ever tell anybody about the voices? He nods his head in the negative to say basically no. And you can imagine Nikolas Cruz's case where he's hearing these voices since he was 5 years old. If you have any sort of empathy, imagine you're 5 years old, you start hearing these voices, and you can't really share them with nobody. Who are you going to share them with? Oh, I hear voices. Oh, what are they going to pump you on more pills? So you understand the rock and the hard place he's put in since he was 5 years old. People shooting voices into his head. Detective Curcio says never. Right? He never told nobody, but Nikolas Cruz actually nods his head in the negative. What does the voice say to you? What does it tell you to do? Nikolas Cruz says burn, kill, destroy, just as you would imagine. All right, and it goes on and it goes on. There's other parts of the transcript. It wants you to burn stuff. It wants you to hurt people. It comes in your head at certain points of the day, which the transcript mentions as well. At certain points of the day, it'll hit him, and and he noticed that the voices stop when he starts to move around. It's a good read. This transcript is pretty good. It's pretty exciting. But he describes how if he starts moving around, the voices start hitting him less. Well, yeah, it would make sense if someone's shooting a ray gun of voices at your head. That once you start moving around, you hear the voices less. Happened since you were 5. You were being developed as a wind-up toy. And so real briefly before we get out of here, the situation that we're going in, not only was it a drill in which they prepped the entire campus to be ready for a surprise drill, but somebody, I couldn't tell you who, contacted Nikolas Cruz about it, told him he was going to be part of the drill, told him he's going to be a hero and an actor and they're going to give him accolades, told him this stuff. Meanwhile, at the same time, could be the same person, maybe it isn't. Doesn't really matter to me. I want to find out. So it could be the same person who's telling him in his head, through voices in his head, hey, this drill, maybe you want to do it for real, don't you think? And just putting these weird thoughts into his head. Meanwhile, he was coaxed into going to the drill, but by the time he got to the drill, people were pumping voices into his head like crazy. So he's not even sure if he's going to carry out the drill for real. I don't know if he had a real gun. He could have been wound up to the point as he had a real gun and he was really shooting at people. And that's how wound up he could have been. Meanwhile, he thought the whole time it was a drill. What's more probable is the drill started going live. Nikolas Cruz wound up not shooting anybody. And you don't have footage of him shooting anybody. So he winds up getting very confused, and although there's voices in his head telling him to kill people for real, he may or may not have even done it at all. He gets very confused, winds up stumbling out. The mainstream narrative has always been that he blended in with students while escaping. You'll note that according to their own animations, that's completely impossible. Very impossible. And meanwhile, just to be real simple, and we got to get out of here, they were giving you all sort of still frame footage and stuff, and they gave you a little video of Nikolas Cruz running through the campus, getting off the campus. Oh, look, that's him. That's real stuff. That could have been part of a drill that was done beforehand anyways. Number one, who's to tell you any different? And number two, oh man, if y'all had, okay, so Nikolas Cruz, he ran out of the building with blended in students. First of all, those students were on lockdown, hiding under their desk. Nobody was escaping out of that building when Nikolas Cruz was leaving, right? But had they been doing that, you would also have footage of Nikolas Cruz leaving out that building with a crowd of students. You don't have that footage. It does not exist. And it's that damn simple. Just like COVID and all that, the rest, it's becoming so damn clear. What's your agenda, your tomfoolery, your hoaxery, to the extent that you'll actually go to in order to carry out these disasters, in order to manipulate people's emotions. And then you want to ban everybody out the internet. And don't think we don't know it, all right? So I've seen people all up in the comments and stuff. I appreciate the crap out of all y'all. Just go read the comments, and I got to get up out of here. Angela Tate and Brando were all up in the building. Y'all are... I know I say the word legends. Y'all are inspirations to me and stuff, man. Y'all are really in there and you're getting it in, all right? And the reason I debate with you sometimes is because, sometimes that's what we got to do to grow together, all right? To really get down in the nitty gritty and find out what's going on. We're going to discuss more of it. In fact, we're going to just not stop discussing it, all right? And it's that simple. We already pointed out how plainly this is absolutely a fraud, no matter how much destruction actually happened. I think some people got killed, but it don't matter. We need to investigate. Meanwhile, I believe that building is still up, and in fact, I think it's all schools canceled. So you might as well investigate that building, but they're not even going to do that. Something as simple as that, all right? Because they want you to forget all about that for some sort of reason. And there's a hand waving, and Angela Tate says technology and the demonic realm are technology and demonic realm are inextricably tied together, says Angela Tate. And actually, that was the most concise, straight to the point statement of this entire broadcast. And I thank Angela Tate for that. I agree 1 million billion fulfilling percent that is exactly what we're talking about here. The demonic realm, technology, people using that to express demonic activity, right? For sure. And people done got killed at the sparkling thing, right? And I'll holler at y'all a bit about it a little bit later, right? I gotta get some stuff done. It's April the 24th, 2020, and I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.